Everybody hold on to somebody. That can't be right. What is that?
Biggest carnivore the world has ever seen.
Run!
Bryce, I want to start. This is your third time round. Do you just get a bit bored of seeing like a raptor on the street now, or does that ever get dull?
Absolutely not. I mean, that was sort of the premise of the first Jurassic World, that dinosaurs were sort of just around and kids were kind of bored with them. And it was sort of like a bit of a comment on the Jurassic franchise overall. Like, can we continue to entertain when it is still this almost like lightning strikes thing where it's like, oh, and the dinosaurs attack again, you know? And so I think it's for me, what's been so exciting about being part of these movies is getting to see Colin's vision for what the next story is going to entail. And it's always surprised me.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about the dinosaurs in Jurassic World Dominion is that they're not hybrid dinosaurs. We saw 2 iterations of that. That chapter has closed for now. What we're seeing are dinosaurs being reanimated that we've never seen before in the Jurassic series, but as true as possible to the actual dinosaur that walked this earth. So it's very exciting. And I'm never bored.
Right. And DeWanda, obviously, you're not just joining this epic franchise, but then you had the whole COVID and being the first film to go back in and learning all that. Like, was it just such a bizarre, wild experience?
Thank you for
on top of
reminding
all
me
of that?
of my trauma.
It was for all of us. This is my
DeWanda was the first
message, yeah.
back to work
Yeah.
when we came back from the pandemic. So she was like, there was the guinea pig experiment of Jurassic, and DeWanda and Chris were the guinea pigs.
Yeah, we're the guinea pigs. And what's wild is, I will say, you know, it was one of those things where I think at that point I was so like in Kayla's skin, so to speak. You know what I mean? I'd been like training and like really kind of getting into her brain space. So when we were having conversations about how we felt about going back, I was like, I'm good. I'm fine. Everything's cool. Let's go, you know? And then we got to set. And it was like my body was betraying me. Like at one point during production, I broke out in hives. I was like, but DeWanda was like, oh, girl, you were good. And my body was like, everything is not okay. So yeah, I mean, it was a challenge on top of it already being a challenge. But what I'm grateful for is, you know, obviously a cast, a crew, a director, everyone just kind of all being there to catch us all. You know what I mean? And we had to be there for each other more than I would say than any cast in history. I'm saying it.
It's out there. It's recorded. It's on camera.
I'm saying it. But yeah, we had to be there for each other, you know, in more ways than are common in a blockbuster making experience, for sure.
Definitely. And for a fan, even seeing the legacy cast on screen is emotional. So just how was that for you guys, like seeing Laura, Sam and Jeff playing these characters that we've all grown up with? Like, was that as emotional for you as it was for viewers?
I was like secretly filming their initial interactions when we were all in the same scene together. I think the first time for me, it might have been for you as well, was when we were under the wing of the plane.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's a scene that takes place at the end of the movie, so it's very eventful.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like Chris was next to me, and I was kind of just like grab your arm.
Yeah.
I was just like. It's like I was just freaking out.
Like, it's happening.
We're here. We're
I mean, that day I just remember every single beat of it. It was epic. It was raining when it was happening, so that you could there was just something about the atmosphere. It's very remarkable when you're in a moment and you know the moment's special.
Just finally, I hate to ask this because everyone's asking this, but this has been talked up as the epic conclusion, but you know, this isn't the last I want to see of Kayla. This isn't the last I want to see of those. Like, could we see them again? Would you be up for that, or do you feel like this is the story told?
I will endeavor to answer that question. What I would say is that this movie seems to be the culmination of 30 years of storytelling as it pertains to these particular characters. The way in which Colin designed Claire and Owen in particular, their journey has come to a conclusion in this movie. Could I come back in 20 years in a movie like the Legacy cast? That would be super cool. Is there an immediate next moment for Claire in the Jurassic story? That has not been explored yet. But it's pretty obvious that there are a couple characters in Jurassic World Dominion that we fall in love with, and then we're like, hey, there's more, yeah?
Anyone?
Yeah, and that would be, as a fan, would be so exciting to
Yeah, we
watch.
go.